up in that Baptist bottom. You know, dealing with me, I'm a sibling of 7 children. And I got 5 sisters and 2 brothers. One brother deceased. But me coming up in that bottom, man, remembering the way it was at that time, it was pretty entrepreneur-like, you know, because it had all your different clubs and game rooms and all these things right here. So it gave us a lot to do back then.
Yeah.
And all them that little spot there was like clubs and stuff. Like
all black on.
Huh?
All black on.
All black on. Can we get your story? I'm doing a documentary. I'm doing a documentary on the neighborhood, right? Trying to get a story of how this thing don't change, how it is now and how it don't change. You don't mind getting your input?
You might not like what I got to say.
No, I want you to, that's what we want. You know what I'm saying? Controversy and everything.
I used to stay right down the street from you guys.
Yeah?
Right there in New Hope Alley.
Yeah. Right there in New Hope Valley. What's your
Linda
name?
Reynolds.
Yeah.
Deborah Reynolds.
Yeah.
James Reynolds.
Yeah.
David.
You David?
I'm David.
This is what I'm trying to do, bro. I'm trying to get this the world to see how neighborhood, every neighborhood got a story to tell, right?
Yep.
No matter how big, no matter how small, you know, but because about the bottom man got a real story to tell.
What did you say?
You know, I don't seen brothers, man, get the head blowed off right there. That was a club right there.
Queen White.
Yeah.
That's who got. That's when I knew we got killed over there.
Right, and Sammy White killed what's his name? Omar.
Yeah.
Right there in front. That was a Mr. T's Underground.
Right.
That was a club scene right here. There was a funeral home right here and a church down the street. So you know what I'm saying? If you get shot, they're gonna dress you right here and then send you to the church in a graveyard down the street.
Yep. All within 4-5 block radius.
When I was coming up in my team, man, used to be the center of our attraction. You know, the hip hop culture attraction. This little door right here we used to go through, man, used to be the 8 Ball. You know, this little cut over here used to be they used to have a little small restaurant up in there sometimes, and see now they changed to a barber shop, but upstairs was a beauty salon. You know, everything was black owned business, right? But this used to be just like in New York, the Roxy's, where they used to go break dance. This is where I used to gear up and everything, and all of us meet up here. We were gonna walk through that door, you know what I'm saying? And anybody ready for war with that break dancing and all this right here, they were gonna get served. If they came from New York, they came from Mississippi or whatever, but this was our Roxy's. You know what I'm saying? And it was called the 8 Ball. You know, for the older people, when I was coming up in my younger days, this whole area over here, man, was clubs, game rooms, little eateries that you can go to. But this was a doctor's office right here. He was a black doctor, Dr. Greenfield. And right there, that whole building was what used to be the William Washington Club now. Oh, it's a church now, but it used to be called the Club Capri. And that was a club, you know, where my pops and my mom used to work at. But this whole parking lot used to be just clubs and game rooms and everything. You see, they cleared it out and made it out a big parking lot. You know, this whole hood don't change, man.
They walking.
You never see a store with none of them over there in their neighborhood. They always come over here, spend your money, still call you a nigga.
Yeah.
All they want is your money. That's the only thing. Color never changed.
Right. You still think it's the same, or?
It's worse.
It's worse?
It's worse.
504 North Adams Street. This house may not look like much of anything, but this is where I was raised. Most times everybody had a hustle. You know, if it was baking cakes, next door we had a man by the name of Mr. Davis. He repaired shoes. And home down the street was what everybody considered as the bottom. That's where you had your businesses, your restaurants, your barbershops, churches, just whatever, you know, that we needed in a community.
I grew up, man, and looking at all the hustlers, all the players and all these things up here going up in the bottom, you know, the dope dealers, the the drunks, every vice it was, you know what I'm saying, that you could possibly look at in the neighborhood. This is what I seen with my eyes. So I imagine it took effect on me. You know, as a juvenile, man, I stayed in some shit, stayed in trouble. The normal things that most black kids do, you know, steal bicycles, breaking and entering. You know, I've been to Mount Meigs, Youth Adolescent Adjustment Center, stayed in the Divergent Center. You know, this was my juvenile history. You know, until I got into my teens. When I came out of Mount Meigs, I was nearly 18 years old at the time. So I was becoming a grown man. So at this time, it was about mid 80s, 85. And this was when the crack epidemic hit down here. It might have hit other spots earlier. It might have hit California in the early 80s. It might have hit down in Florida in the early 80s, but down here in Dothan, Alabama, it hit in the mid 80s, around 85 and 86. And this is where I got my first experience, you know, with selling crack cocaine. I was already hustling, you know, with the weed and things like that, because this is what our neighborhood did. We were hustlers.
I'm Carrie Jean Sistrunk Jackson. I'm the sister of AD, and we raised up in going to school and stuff together. Had some good times and we had some bad times. AD was, well, I was the sister that always got in trouble when he got in trouble. I'm just gonna keep it real. When everybody was picking on him or they was picking on me, we helped each other. We done went to the Virgin Center together. We done did a lot of crazy things when it came down to protecting us, because we had to be out there to survive for us.
Well, my name is Annie Lois Sistrunk Reed. I grew up in a time and era coming up in the bottom where it was basically survival of the fittest. If you looked at our story, it would almost be a scene like New Jack City. Nobody would ever believe how we came up.
You know, I started off hustling. My dad showed me the hustle game at an early age. You know, I sold bottles, smashed cans, whatever it took to make a dollar. But when the crack epidemic hit, there was a new avenue for some quick ends. So I got my hand into the game. But I had my fumbles, my bumbles at the first beginning of the game. You know, even to where I tried the product. You know, I smoked a little bit, got hooked on it for about a year, but I bounced back. I left town, came back with a new perspective, and promised myself that I'd never smoke it no more.
Got out there and he did things that we didn't want him to do, but he was always the type of person that helped the community. He was the type of person that if your lights got turned off, he go turn them back on. If you needed grocery, he go and get the groceries for you and make sure that you ate. He was never a bad child. It was just, we was just living situations that it came that we just had to protect ourselves and protect, you know, family.
To sell it was even greater. And this how I became what they call me today, man, a legend in my hood, because I did what I did, you know, and I helped other people's out through the process, because I had already been down to the bottom and I know what it was like down in the bottom. You know what I'm saying? When I was using drugs and, you know, running the streets, you know, so I imagine it was natural for me to have sympathy toward those that was stuck down where I used to be at. But you know, I accumulated a lot of hood wealth. You know, the cars, the gold, the clothes, females, everything that came with selling dope. You know, but not to try to glorify it, because this what it gave me.
AD, he was there protection for me. He was like a father figure to me. He was the person that I was scared of the most. Going to school, you had to deal with people talking about your brother is the kingpin. He's the biggest drug dealer in the Wiregrass area. I can remember times going to school, and when the narcotics would come, their presentation would be on my brother. It was a lot of pressure. It was a lot of pain seeing him going in and out of prison, in and out of different detention centers, different things like that. Our family, that's basically how we survived, though. Not just our family, in the community of the bottom, the whole entire community survived off of drug money.
I stayed in prison with that 70-year sentence, the 10 years. You know, this was my struggles, man. You know, going all over these prisons in the state of Alabama, man, from max camps to, you know, work releases and all these things right here. But this what it took for me to wake up. This what I'm seeing the work of the hands of God, that he had to sit me to the side to make me realize that this ain't what it is. But now, after I did that 10-year bid, I got back out here and then I fumbled and bumbled again. You know, because all my brothers and all my partners that I raised in the game, they was out here still doing their thing, and the game had elevated after 10 years. Don't nothing stay the same. You know, don't nothing stay the same once you get trapped in that thing, and then you come back out here and you think that the game gonna be the same. You got a mistake coming to you, because everything changed in due time. You know, the product of the dope, you know, the slang of people, you know, everything changed. But then I got back out here, man, and I tried it again. Stayed out here for a year and a half and tried it again and got jammed back up. And they gave me 50 more years. I went back to prison with that 70 in that 50, what made it a whole 120 years. I had a 120-year sentence when I went back to prison. And I went back to prison and I tried to study again why I went wrong. I did 13 years that time. When I got back out, this is where I'm at today. I got 2 jobs, man. I'm working my finger to the bone, you know what I'm saying? Tired, you know, but I'm trying to make it to where I ain't never going back to no prison no more, man.
But we used to go up the street in the Baptist bottom and go to them clubs, but nobody ever bothered us. Because I don't know what he was afraid of, the Sis Trump family or what, you know. But didn't nobody mess with us. And even the police didn't come down through there, down on Blackshear Street, because they was afraid if they come through there, they'd be running. So we just, you know, lived a decent life, and I raised some of my grandchildren there in that 511 Blackshear. So I'm just happy with my family the way they are today.
We love you, Mom.
I love y'all too.
Man, when I first thought about this project, you know, Reminiscing of the Baptist Bottom, it was just an idea, you know, and I'm proud of myself, man. I just want to give everybody, man, who contributed to this project, you know what I'm saying, a high five. I appreciate you guys. You all know who you are. You know what I'm saying? You helped my dream in your hands, and you helped contribute it to make it come true. And hopefully that you'll get something out of it, man, because this, where I'm standing at right here, man, where I was born and raised at, man. I was born in this house, 511 Blackshear Street. You know, and it brings back memories to me, man, because all this streets right here where I'm standing on now, it was red dirt and clay. You know, where we used to build sand castles. It wasn't no, you know, wasn't no pavement right here. We used to just dig in the dirt and come in the house with shoes and with sand in our shoes, you know, play in that little ditch back there, you know, swim in the ditch when it flood, you know, this little thing that we kids did, man. But this hood, man, is part of me, you know, and I'll never forget where I came from. That's why I put that in my mind to do this documentary, because I'm trying to give something back to this hood, man, because I'll never forget that I was born and raised here, and I once ran these streets, you know. So, but thanks everybody, man.